بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين لا عدوان إلا على الظالمين. You know what I mean? You gotta look clean. Special shout out to my brothers from IDC, the number one place to be, the global Islamic family. Brah! You guys can use that all day long. We want to spend a special shout out to our brothers who sponsored this particular session, HM Residential, and our brothers from the Quran Lee app sponsor. May Allah reward you all. Brothers and sisters, before we begin, it is a tradition that you got to look good, you got to feel good, and you got to smell good. We got that vibrant hit right here, making us smell like citrus. So, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, our topic came about some weeks ago where some of the brothers were saying that they never picked up the Quran in a while. They're just chasing too much money. Too much money. Got to keep chasing the money. So basically, it's now time to blow off your Quran. And this is the Moroccan one here, mashallah. So our topic, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, it is based on this topic, brothers, where many people, unfortunately, they haven't picked up the Quran in a long time. And this is a tremendous musibah on the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So when we look at the situation, my dear brothers, the Quran is supposed to be coveted, revered, admired, highly respected, right? Isn't that right? We're supposed to love the Quran, put it very high, respect it, mashallah, tabarakallah. But it just goes up on the high shelves, mashallah. We respect the Quran, right? We like to put it up where the cobwebs are, right? And where the dust mites are, right? Wallahu musta'an. Wallahu musta'an. We're talking about, and this is just a few of the sifa, Quran, Kitab, the Huda, the Al-Furqan, the Tanzil, the Shifa'a, the Dhikr, Al-Nur, Al-Hikmah, Al-Qawl, Al-Kitab, Al-Quran, Al-Mubin, Al-Burhan, Al-Furqan, and Kalamullah. This is just a few of the names of the Book of Allah Azza wa Jal, ya ikhwani, ya akhawati. So when we look at this situation, there are some ayat, some hadith that we need to sit and we need to ponder over. The Book of Allah and the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's time to dust off your Quran, brothers and sisters. So this first hadith that we're going to quote, there's some discussion, and anybody want to go deep into the bahith, the best place to go, and I always go really deep, there is a website called Al-Maktabatu Al-Shamila Al-Saniya or Sunniya. It has, mashallah, many turq, many narrations, many mashaykh, and they're all on this particular hadith. I found a few different rulings. I found some scholars said it's da'if, some scholars said it's hasan, some scholars they said it's sahih. So this is the well-known hadith which is collected in many, many sources. Mostly you'll find this in the Kitab of Fada'il al-Quran, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it says, he said, "Inna alladhi laysa fi jawfihi shay'un min al-Quran kal bayt al-kharab." That indeed, who does not have anything from the Quran in his heart, the example is like a destroyed house, ya ikhwani, a destroyed house. So this is a very serious thing, my brothers. Like we said before, there's some discussion amongst the muhaddithin on the authenticity of this. So the Prophet ﷺ, peace and blessings be upon him, he who has nothing of the Quran in his heart. You don't even got Fatiha? You don't even have Fatiha? And there's a joke, some of the brothers in New York City and in Philadelphia that ask people to recite Fatiha, and unfortunately they can't do that. And even some of the scholars, we've seen them in the past, go to different Muslim lands and villages and ask the Muslims to recite Fatiha. They can't even get that. Wallahu musta'an. So this hadith, we find it collected in At-Tirmidhi, Ahmed, Ad-Darimi, Al-Hakim, and many, many others have collected it in their books. The meaning of this hadith is that one who has nothing of the Quran in his heart is like an empty, ruined house. This is because the Quran is in the heart such that one hasn't memorized some of it or some of it at all, none of it. It will be filled, it will be decorated according to how little or much it contains. So like your heart, like our houses, and especially if you're married, depending upon if you're a bachelor or you're married, you'll find that when you get a wife, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, she'll make the house into a home. That's a whole nother class within itself. She'll make the house look nice, feel nice, comforting. The Quran is such, ya ikhwani, that when we put more Quran into it, it's supposed to do something. It's supposed to remedy our heart and make it better. So like a house is devoid of furnishings that adorn and delight it, ya ikhwan. So you have a heart, but without all those different beautiful themes from the Quran, for instance, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil, all these things, wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah, being able to articulate these things, say these things, it's coming from the book of Allah. If you don't have it, when travesty and hardship happens to you, you'll find that you'll be able to pluck these things from your heart and you'll be able to benefit. And that's one thing, a side point right here. Anybody who wants to do some serious studies, you need to get the qatuf. It is basically the things that are plucked from the Quran. This here has everything in it that you can benefit. It has hadith, it has grammar, it has poetry, it has antidotes on different, mashallah, tabarakallah, words of the Quran. So when we look at this, my dear brothers and sisters, this means that the Quran is meant to fill our heart and make it illuminated by the light of this noble book. Note, ya ikhwani, that the scholars, some of them, they question the authenticity of this hadith. So as they say, istishadin, istidlalin, this is a difference of the discussion, inshallah ta'ala. So I wanted to start with that. However, what we brought first before was this ayah from the noble book of Allah ta'ala. And when the first time I heard this ayah, I thought it was a hadith. The very first time that I heard this ayah, I thought it was a hadith. قال الله تعالى وقال الرسول يا ربي إني قومي أتخذوا هذا القرآن محجورا. This, the very first time that I heard this, I'm like, why is the brother reading this hadith in the Quran for salat? This is what I thought when I was a new Muslim. So Sheikh Muhsin Khan, in his explanation, he goes on to say this ayah, that the Messenger will say, "Oh my Lord, my people have deserted the Quran. They neither listened to it, nor did they act upon its laws and its orders." Chapter 25, verse number 30. So there's many tafsir that we went through, ya ikhwan, but I wanted to bring something that is very easy for us to digest. So this is the tafsir, ya ikhwan. You could find this on Tafsir al-Mubahith, ya ikhwan, which is one of the apps that I use all the time. وقال الرسول يا ربي إني قومي اتخذوا هذا القرآن مهجورا. The Sheikh and this particular team, they put together وقال الرسول شاكٍ ما صنع قومه يا ربي إني قومي تركوا هذا القرآن وحجره ومتمادين في إعراضهم عنه وتركوا تدبروا وعملوا به وتبليغه وفي آيات التخويف عظيم لمن حجر القرآن فلم يعملوا به. That the Messenger he complained about what the people had done. Oh my Lord, my people have abandoned the Quran and deserted it, persisting in their turning away from it and neglecting and contemplating it and acting upon it and conveying it. Ya ikhwani. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. I think we need to unpack that once again. That the Messenger he complained about his people, his nation. Now, this particular, if you go back and you read the tafsir, it has to do with the Quraysh at the time, but everything else after that, ya ikhwan, it is also upon us as well. Oh, my Lord, my people have abandoned this Quran. They've abandoned it. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to listen to it. They don't want to think about it. And they've deserted it. This is ours now. Persisting and turning away from the book of Allah Ta'ala. When you quote an ayah, I've heard Muslims say, yeah, I've heard that ayah before. Or yeah, I've heard that hadith before. Brother, why are you quoting us hadith, brother? We have had Islam in our family for 1,000 years. You're a new Muslim. Don't quote us Quran. This is said to me many times. And to neglect and contemplate, to dabbur, to fakkur, to think about those verses. Read tafsir. Believe me, you can spend hours looking up one ayah and reading what the ulama and the muhaddithin and the mufassirin they said concerning it. And ya ikhwani, to act upon the Quran. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. I have seen with my eyes Muslims steal. I've seen Muslims lie. I've seen Muslims cheat. I've seen Muslims use the Quran in a bad way, ya ikhwan, after they've memorized the Book of Allah. There is a science, and we find Imam Nawawi, Imam Suyuti, and many others. They have all written books called At-Tibyan and Hamalatul Quran, the etiquettes of the one who carries the Quran. He's not supposed to be a liar. He's not supposed to be a trickster. He's not supposed to be a person who robs and steals and does evil things. The Quran is supposed to, ya ikhwani, make us better people inside and out. And to convey the book of Allah, tabarak wa ta'ala, ya ikhwani. The words that come from Allah Rabbil Izzah, ya ikhwan, we have to share it with the people. And we have many Quran drives all across the country here in Canada. And mashallah, sometimes people, they get a chance to hear the Quran or read the Quran or a translation of the Quran, ya ikhwan. And it is an amazing thing when people, they pick up the Quran, they're like, wow, this sounds very familiar to my faith. Either the Yahud or the Nasara. And they say, wow, I never knew this. I thought this was a book about Satan. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. So, ya ikhwani, ya akhwati, we want to also, inshallah ta'ala, bring a hadith which, mashallah tabarakallah, it's one of my favorite hadiths, talking about the reward of reading the Quran, where the Prophet ﷺ went on to say, وَمَا اجْتَمَعَ قَوْمٍ فِي بَيْتٍ مِنْ بِيُوتِ اللَّهِ يَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابِ اللَّهِ وَيَتَدَرَّسُونَ بَيْنَهُمْ إِلَّا نَزَلَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ سَكِينَةٌ وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةُ وحافتهم الملائكة وذكرهم الله في من عنده ومن بطاء به عمله ولم يسرع به نسبه أخرجه Muslim. There is not a group of people, a group of Muslims, who have gathered in one of the houses of Allah, reciting the book of Allah and studying it. Not just tilawah, but you have to read the tafsir. You have to understand what is known as the sabab al-nuzul, ya ikhwan, which is a science within itself from the many sciences of the ulum al-Quran. Studying among themselves, but the tranquility will come down upon them, will descend upon them. The tranquility, the sakina, and the mercy will cover them. The angels will encircle them, and Allah will remember them among those who are with him, meaning the angels, and whose action is not according to his knowledge. His generation will not be useful for him. So let's unpack this hadith again. There's a group of people all over the earth, or any halakat al-ilm, who gather in one of the houses of Allah, or one of the markazes, to recite the book of Allah and to study it amongst themselves, meaning that there is a regular Quranic circle going on. Nothing will happen except only the tranquility of Allah will descend upon them. The sakina, we all need that. And the rahmah, the mercy, will cover them. The angels will encircle them, ya ikhwan. Subhanallah. And Allah will remember them. Allah will remember them among those who are with him, meaning the angels. Allah will mention those that were in the halaqah, seeking knowledge, to the angels, and whose action is not according to his knowledge. His generation will not be useful for him. Meaning, ya ikhwan, you're just so busy chasing the dunya. You're Joe Dunya, man. You got to get out there. You got to make your money. You know, as they say, it's hopping out there. You got to get your money out. We got to get our money, brother. Yeah, but at least once in the week, man, listen to a couple ayat. Listen to a sheikh while you're traveling. Listen to a lecture. Listen to some tafsir. Do something. And we're finding, ya ikhwani, and I wanted to attach some other ayat to it that I thought that are very pertinent, especially in our time here. We're happening here in just outside of the city of Toronto. A lot of mental illness is happening amongst the Muslims. And I believe it's because we're not reading the Quran and reflecting upon it. وَقَالَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى وَمَنْ أَعْرَدَ عَنْ ذِكْرِ فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكَ وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. But whoever turns away from my reminder, meaning the book of Allah, will certainly have a miserable life. Their life will be miserable. You forgot Allah. You forgot the book of Allah. You know, forget about even dusting it off. That's a good thing. You dust it off and you pick it up and you're reading it. Some people, they never pick it up. Or it's just a trophy that's hung up there. Or dad gave them a Quran and it's just there for display. They will be raised up, ya ikhwan, on the day of judgment, blind. So imagine you have eyes to read the book of Allah, but you don't spend any time reading those beautiful letters, which each letter is a hasana and a barakah, ya ikhwan. So the sad thing is, it's so scary, ya ikhwan, that the people didn't choose in the dunya to read the book of Allah. Some people are not critical thinkers. They don't ponder or look for reminders, meaning they live their life just on a state of whim, whatever goes, whatever goes. They're not looking for any antidotes or wisdom or anything that they can add to themselves to become a better person. People are just busy chasing the dunya, and it has become fashionable to become dumb and stupid. We call it up here, we call it a goofy, meaning that this person, you know, is saying patwa man, a waste man, think that, you know, the man them have a dirt boy, you know what I mean? The man goof at that, you know, you understand? So we have a little ayah, ya ikhwani, inshallah ta'ala. وقال الله تعالى إنما تنذر من اتباع الذكر وخاشية الرحمن بالغيب ويبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. Allah Ta'ala goes on to say, ya ikhwan, you can only warn him who follows the reminder, and he fears the most merciful. Unseen, bear you such one the glad tidings of forgiveness and the generous reward of paradise. Ya ikhwani, the believer, he pays heed to the message from the book of Allah. The unbeliever, ya ikhwan, he mocks it and he scoffs it, ya ikhwan. You quote the book of Allah, we don't want to hear that jibber jabber. We don't want to hear. I've heard people say this all the time, disrespecting the book of Allah. You say it has a medicine. I will translate it for you. As we've given lots of dawah to people before, they get very upset when you quote the Quran in the Arabic, and they say, okay, just wait for the translation, showing you that this is in the original form. So we find, ya ikhwan, ya ikhwati, that the most beneficent Ar-Rahman, ya ikhwan, he has given us a very beautiful book, and we are not benefiting from it the way that we should. But good news, this is the chance, this is the time for us to blow off our Quran. As I was looking through, mashallah, tabarakallah, my library, and I found my beautiful Quran that has a codex in it. And it's one of the most beautiful Qurans. I couldn't find it. Subject matter pertaining to ahkam, aqidah, stories of the ancients. Ya ikhwani, there are so many beautiful Qurans. Get one, pick one up and read it. Whether you want to read a West African or the original Kufi script, whatever you want to call it, whatever floats your boat, ya ikhwani. Whatever is good for you, pick up the Quran and read a couple of ayat. Imagine, ya ikhwani, and there was an old brother about 10 years ago. He was sitting in one of the masajid in Toronto, and he died, ya ikhwan, and he was sitting like this with the book of Allah in his hand. He just had finished reading, and he wanted to take a rest, and he died while he was holding the book of Allah in his hand. He wasn't holding alcohol. He wasn't holding hookah. He wasn't holding, ya ikhwan, a spliff or anything like that. He died. The angels came and took his soul while he was holding on to the habl of Allah tabarak ta'ala. So before we end, brothers and sisters, just a little small reminder that this time in the month of Ramadan, it is very precious. This is a great opportunity. It is priceless. I know at least 10 brothers that I know, maybe even more than that, the last 5 days, the last 6 days, the last week, the last 2 weeks, the last month, the last 2 months, they died, ya ikhwan. They're hoping to reach the month of Ramadan. They didn't make it. They're hoping to read one surah from the book of Allah. They didn't make it, ya ikhwani. Ya ikhwani, this is the month of Imsak. We have to try our best, ya ikhwan, to watch our tongues, say good things. Ya ikhwan, we have to imagine that we're not going to make it to the end of Ramadan. We hope. And Muslims have said to me already, a week before, brother, where are you going for the Eid? I say, I haven't even made it to Ramadan. I haven't prayed my first qiyam. I haven't fasted. I haven't eaten my first date. I haven't made my first dua. You're worried about what's going on for Eid, where we're going to go? So, ya ikhwani, ya akhwati, We're now in the month of Ramadan, and as you know, it comes and it goes. So you gotta do irtanam forsa. You gotta seize the opportunity, seize the benefit, and be happy to be in this month, ya ikhwan. We know this as the Ramadan reset, ya ikhwan. This is day one in the clinic. Day one in the clinic of Ramadan, ya ikhwani. We need the remedy to clean up something. We need to clean up our minds. We need to clean up our hearts, and hopefully our souls will get cleaned up along the way. Why is this? What is the whole goal of us doing all this? Reading the Quran, banging our head up and down, going to the masjid, shaking hands, sending salam. We're trying to gain something called at-taqwa. At-taqwa, fi'l ma'mur wa taqwa ma'dhur, right? The month, ya ikhwan, it is meant to implement the Quran. It's not just something for Sultan Jamil. MashaAllah, the Sheikh, he has a Sultan Jamil. Yes, MashaAllah, he does. Did you hear the ayah where he said not to lie, not to cheat, not to steal, not to worship other than Allah? Did you hear those ayats? Ya ikhwani, right now, we're in this marathon, and we're trying to make a spiritual shift from what we were doing a couple of days ago. Before the new moon came, unfortunately, I seen with my eyes things in the mall as I was trying to buy stuff I couldn't believe, and I can't even say it on here, what the Muslim kids are doing in the streets. We're trying to bring unity. If this book doesn't bring some unity between the ummah, we have some serious problems, ya ikhwani. It is supposed to be a community builder. This is the book of Allah, the Habal of Allah Ta'ala, the Dusturuna. This is our law that we follow, ya ikhwani. So, inshallah ta'ala, ending it, ya ikhwani, the question comes, have you given your sadaqah? Support our brothers at this program. Have you made maghfirah? Brothers, I am so much in need of making maghfirah, tawbah, istighfar. I can't even tell you how many sins I committed. May Allah help all my sins come off my hands, off my eyes, off my tongue, off my feet, and you as well. This is the month, ya ikhwan, where we're not supposed to be in the state of ghafla anymore. We're not supposed to be in that state. Our hearts, ya ikhwani, they become corrupted, they become blackened, they become sickened. Some of us have even become dead hearts, ya ikhwan. We need, ya ikhwani, to go back to the Quran school. Change our hearts, ya ikhwan. Go back to the book of Allah. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. As some of the scholars say, that the Habl of Allah, it is the book of Allah, ya ikhwan. This is the month of khushu', where you actually are listening to the Shaykh or the Qari or the Muqri read the book of Allah. And ya ikhwan, this is one of the saddest things, I have to mention it. I'm blessed to be able to be in my city. We have many Muslim brothers that are mutqin in their qira'ah. When you hear them say Allahu Akbar, they know how to recite the Quran extremely well. Then you go to a place where the people, man, I can't, how am I going to pray behind that? Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So try to find a place where you can actually hear the Quran, someone who's skilled at reciting it, and you'll find, ya ikhwan, I guarantee you, inshallah ta'ala, if you listen attentively, there'll be a shifa, a medicine for our hearts. So my dear brothers and sisters, isn't it time to blow off the Quran, to open it up, to look at it? I even had a Quran that I found in my house. Ya ikhwani, an old Quran copy here. This particular copy, I remember I had it years ago when we used to sit with our sheikh a long time ago, and I forgot I even had it, ya ikhwan. So I found it, and I pulled it out, and you see, ya ikhwan, I made a little operation on it. It was ripped here at the seams. So I had to repair it. So if you have some Qur'ans, ya ikhwani, besides just dusting it off, looking at the pages, seeing if you have to repair the pages, get some scotch tape and fix up your Quran, ya ikhwan. Fixing up the Quran. But remember to fix your heart from the start. Again, we want to spend a special shout out to our brothers. May Allah bless them for sponsoring this program. IDC, the number one place to be, the global Islamic family. If there's any questions, inshallah ta'ala, that's what we have for today. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, it's time to dust off your hearts. It's time to clean your hearts. It's time to do some positive things with your life before it's too late. You can be great. with that, وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. نعم يا إخواني بارك الله فيكم. Is there any questions يا إخواني يا أخواتي؟ حياكم الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. ما شاء الله. Ramadan Mubarak. We're just outside of there, broadcasting out of the city of Mississauga, which is about 15 minutes outside of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The number one spot for Muslims in North America. There's La Shek Fidalik. You come through the dot, the number one spot. Call us up, call me up, and inshallah, I'll take you to get something to eat or drink. Okay, as a Christian, I must say I'm surprised educated Muslims have not read the Quran front to back. Well, as you know, my friend Matthew, we have people from all walks of life, different levels of education, people that are, for instance, I come from a family of 2 siblings. I know some friends that have 10 siblings. So everybody's jockeying for some entertainment or being valued by their parents. So each kid has an issue. Some kids have a stronger aptitude to read. Some don't have a stronger aptitude to read. So, this is the thing that, don't worry about what someone else is doing. Worry about what you can do. Have you read the Quran? I challenge you, my friend, to read it with an open mind and see how beneficial it is. There's a lot of great things. When I first became Muslim, when I opened it up, I was like, wow, how could this book know about this? And it was really detailed about the qualities of the most merciful God the Almighty in detail, more than I found in the book that my parents were reading, aka the Bible. So yes, there are some educated Muslims, they don't read that much. They maybe focus on sciences or math or accounting or something like that. Not everybody can be a scholar. Not everybody can be a caller. Not everybody can be a shot caller. You know what I mean? Everybody's different. Everybody's on a different, wavelength. Different things affect different people at different times. So, as they say, man, don't be surprised. I've met people that are highly educated and been in my car, have done tremendous things, and I've heard some things from my ears. I'm like, what rock did you come from under? And then I'm there in my car, and they're asking me if I know the directions on where we're going in my city, which I was born and raised in. They're immigrant. So, it doesn't because somebody's educated in some fields that they can be educated in other fields. And unfortunately, what is known is in the Muslim world, unfortunately, the brightest, smartest minds, their family pushes them towards sciences. And those with lesser education, unfortunately, they're sent to the madrasa to go to memorize the Quran. Next question. If there's any more questions. I do have my kufi on here. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay, so yes, we encourage our brothers and sisters to donate to our brothers at IDC. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam rahmatullah Ragnar. We encourage our brothers to support the work that they're doing. The brothers are doing global work. Alhamdulillah, I'm blessed to be the only Canadian working with you brothers. And inshallah ta'ala, maybe one day I get a chance to see your faces, your beautiful faces, and spend time with you brothers and sisters in the United Kingdom. Us being affiliate of the kingdom, one of the small, actually it's a bigger country than the UK, but our money is smaller than yours. So when I come there with my Canadian money, I don't have no real money. MashaAllah, there's no more questions. So inshallah ta'ala, brothers and sisters, we look forward to next week, inshallah ta'ala. We're going to come up with another exciting topic, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. I myself haven't figured that out yet, but inshallah ta'ala, we're going to come up with something. We hope you like the broadcast and the presentation. It's time to take the Quran and blow the dust and just read for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes. You don't need more than that. Start with 10, and then maybe you can get to 20, then maybe you can get to 30, and so on and so forth. As the Prophet said, that the best of deeds are those that are done in consistency, even though they are very little. Brothers and sisters, I love you all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah ta'ala, I got to start to prep the food, and I got to prepare for my exam, and I got to go to the printers all before I break my fast. So we're still fasting here. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.